All right. So I wanted to make a follow-up video to a video I posted on YouTube a little bit ago. It was just a gameplay video. There was no actual dialogue or anything like that. And it was about a shock build where I would use grenades to sort of light up a pack with electrocution or shock and then just take them down with the pulse rifle. It's a pretty simple build. But as I've been playing it, I realized slowly that it wasn't quite as strong as it was, and that some boss fights took a little bit longer because of the amount of grenades that I would need to hit them with to get them into electrocution, and shock was really random. But I've really changed the build around a little bit, and there's a lot of people who have been asking me about the other build, what progress is made. And I want to be clear, if you're watching this video and you don't know who I am, I'm a former content creator professionally and personally. I ran a group called PantheonPlus that made a large community of content creators, pulled us all together and did that for a few years for the game Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And then I ended up actually working with the studio Visionary Realms that worked on Pantheon Realm of the Fallen as an official content creator. Did some testing, a little bit of theory, like stuff like that. But essentially, I haven't been doing videos for a long time, and this isn't going to be super edited or anything like that. I just want to show the build and show some things. It is in progress. I am not a super hardcore theory crafter. Call me a casual hardcore. I play a lot, and I kind of try to just play my own way when possible, but don't get me wrong, a good build guide every once in a while I'll jump into. So let's start with this build. Is not going to be a build that is super OP, insta screen clear, super one button easy mode. Now, it's not hard, but it has some strategy to it, and you're still going to die from time to time if you're not paying attention. I'm also working out a lot of this build. Some of it has changed overnight, literally. But I wanted to put something together because I've had a few comments on Reddit, a few comments on Twitter that asked me for sort of an update on what this looks like and a little more of an explanation. So again, it's changed a lot. First of all, this is a very important piece. You'll want to go get this with an Exalted Orb. They're really cheap right now. It's not really for the stats. It's just that the shocked ground while moving lasts 8 seconds. That is a permanent, guaranteed shock if they are standing in it. This is huge because this eliminates the need for grenades. This eliminates the need for electrocution. This eliminates the need for spark. Okay, so this is really important because you're going to insta-spark everything, including bosses. So when I go into the passive tree, I'm not going to show you everything in this passive tree. I'm going to zoom out so you can kind of get a look. I'm a witch hunter. And this is kind of how I head down the tree, okay? What I've done is gotten rid of a lot of the lightning that I went out to get. For example, I had, let's see, I had the lightning that was up here. I had this all because it was lightning damage and just some different things that helped with electrocution, some penetration stuff right here, electrocution build up and shock build up. Like, this is all really good if I didn't have the boots. And then I also had some more up here that I ended up getting rid of. So what that enabled me to do is focus more on where my damage was coming from. And now when you see this play style, you're going to see as well that it's going to be dangerous at times. So evasion and armor have been really important. And that's where you're going to see that I've come down into some of this armor here. This one is really big, +1 evasion per 1 armor. So I got a really chunky pair of armor gloves off of the trade market, right? With some resistances on it because I'm starting to build those up. So that gives me a really big set of gloves. And then this is a little controversial. Some people may not want these attributes and the bonuses to attributes. It's up to you if you need them. This just makes gearing more simple for me, and I don't need to worry about the stats on my gear, which allows me to start getting into that standpoint for the end game where I can start getting my resistances up. As you can see, I'm not negative anymore. I'm not where I need to be. Obviously later I'm going to need more chaos, but I'm in a much better place and I have really high evasion and armor, right? So one of the things, if you don't know in the passive tree, if you hit the shift key on anything, if it affects an ability, it'll tell you directly how it affects that ability. So what do I mean by that? Well, attack speed. If I hold this in, the shot that we're really worried about, crossbow shot doesn't mean anything, is the shock burst rounds. So you can see if I were to go into this shock burst round, it's only going to give me like almost 70, a little like around 70 attack DPS on shock burst round, right? It's not bad. But that's where I started to look and see where my lightning damage wasn't giving me as much. As you can see now, it's a little bit better because I've sort of hit a peak in my attack speed. But until this, my attack speed was really ramping me up. And you can see that the damage with crossbows is actually a little bit stronger than the damage with lightning. And also the pulse, the shock burst rounds are actually going to scale to physical damage. So it's really just all about damage. It's not really about what type of damage, it's what you can get the most out of. You can see I went into these two-handed weapons. And in my quest to get a little bit stronger with my armor and stuff, I'm going to try to fly up into here. I'd really want to get this 15% increased armor. And then there is one here that's really big. You get 80% increased armor from your equipped body armor. And again, you'll see why I'm trying to do this. It might not be worthwhile. I might just want to go for more damage, but you'll see the play style. We're going to be jumping in a lot and then jumping in and jumping out. And it's just having that defense and that evasion is really important. You'll see how much armor I have on this. So if I were to get 80% increase, I mean, you're talking at about 500 armor roughly, right? So it's a pretty big scale up for you. Not just grabbing the increased armor, but then grabbing that body armor upgrade. So that's some of the stuff I'm trying. This is not finalized. This is not going to be the end game ultimate meta build, but it's fun and it's tactical. Now, the other thing to show you is I am also have a mace and shield. This shield's not maximized. I literally just bought it from a vendor so I could have it. The goal is that I'm going to get even more armor on this and just some defensive things, because as I'm jumping in, I'm going to be wearing this equipment set. This double stun on here, I haven't decided if it's worthwhile or not. On big boss fights, it definitely seems to work. It's knocking people down and it's adding to the ability to do much more damage and kind of slow a boss down. So far it's okay, but the damage doesn't matter at all because we're not actually jumping for damage at all. So the stun on it and stuff like that is good. And the last thing I'll show you is how I'm set up. So from a standpoint of importance, if you look at, let me change these weapons again. I like how it doesn't let you change the weapons in there. Okay, so if we go into the gems, you can see that emergency reload I have, that's just an extra bunch of damage that you can have. And I'm just going to go over these gems. I'm not going to talk about them. I used to use grenade a lot, so it still has my normal ones in there. I don't use it really at all anymore. In shock burst rounds, like I said, the elemental damage isn't as important for this as physical damage is. So you're actually going to get more probably out of amping up your physical damage in this slot than you are for these two elemental ones, which I have. So that means I'm going to probably switch these out. But piercing is really important because you're going to be shooting through packs and trying to blow them all up at once. So this is one I definitely recommend. I cannot wait to get a fourth. And again, I have to maximize these a little bit at this point. I have a mark, which just gives you better chance for shock. This is honestly worthless right now. I just don't have anything else I need. And then I went in and I run these 4 passives. Overwhelming Presence, which helps with element threshold for the enemy. This is just going to shock a bunch of stuff for you because you're just going to constantly be killing shocked enemies. Wind Dancer gives us a little bit of evasion per stage. This also pushes enemies back and we can get some life, and not a huge deal. But then this one's cool because we're going to be dodging a lot. There's 2 different ways to fight in this build, and one of them is dodge rolling. You're going to dodge roll a lot, even in both, I guess you'd say. But one is to dodge roll around an enemy and create like a circle around them and take them out. It's what I do for a lot of boss fights, so I can stay in close and watch out for some of those lined attacks that are harder to evade if you can't see them or if you're in range. So, and then Leap Slam. So Leap Slam is really the only reason we have a sword and a mace, but at the same time, the sword and mace can actually help us if we spec that well to have a little bit more damage reduction or health or whatever we want to do with it. Again, haven't done that yet. So that's a little bit of a look at the build. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to play through a quick key here. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I play this game way too much, so I should probably be a lot better than I am. Again, I consider myself casual hardcore. So what does that mean? It means that I might not be as good as some of the content creators you see out there. So, don't worry. I'm not trying to be. And of course here, we have a couple different, we could try a map boss. It's probably going to make me die. But let's go ahead and we'll do a map boss one and just see it. Again, I say that, but if you're patient and you do the right maneuvering in this build, you'll see. So as I play, I'll talk a little bit here, explain to you some of the strategies and what I do. So you're going to jump over things. You don't use leap to jump into things. Jump over them, and you'll see that your boots are going to automatically go on the ground for 8 seconds, and they're going to automatically stun or shock. So it's going to really, and then see this boss, since it's close, I can just roll around it, create like a pattern of shock on it, and I can take it out. Right? So again, there's definitely some gems that I can do to improve the physical damage, and that's some of the stuff I'll have to look at. But so you have those few options. So you can just run in circles around stuff. You can dodge through stuff. Like I could just dodge through these enemies and then turn and shoot, right? The other thing too is if you're fighting stronger enemies or pathing enemies, you can just keep backing up and walking because you're going to be creating the lightning in front of you as you back up. So what I like to do is jump over them and then start kind of get a line. And then when they're in a line, you can just with the piercing just start ravaging them. And they're going to explode on each other. The lightning is going to hit them. It's all good, right? So again, it's just a lot of jumping. I refer to this as the Quake 2 arena build. It feels like jumping all over the place like I remember when I was younger in Quake 3 Arena. And, you know, shooting with the plasma rifles. Right, but it's an interesting build. You're going to smash bosses. You're going to smash most enemies. You still have to just be a little smart because you're going to be in close. And if you stand in stuff, which is probably what makes it the hardest for me as I get distracted by loot. And I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have died while looking at something I was really excited to loot, and my heart was broken. I've lost a few legendaries that way, or uniques as they call them in this game. So again, you can see like I like to do the jump when it makes the most sense. It also allows you to get through some terrain things and get yourself out of danger from time to time. And with the attack speed that I'm putting on stuff and the skill speeds, it makes it a pretty quick process, and you're very mobile. Which when you're doing like trials, for example, if you take the escape where you have to get the like the little hourglasses all over the map, if you do escape, it's really easy because you can kind of just like, if you see a pack of enemies, you just jump over them to avoid taking any honor damage. So it's actually pretty helpful in that as well. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna try to finish this, and we'll see because I'd like to show some boss. Hopefully we don't get the big monkey because he just, I don't know what it is. The big monkey, as soon as he starts doing the pillar, I'm dead. Like I don't know if I'm scared of him, if I have trauma from fighting him the first time or what. But let's see if we can get to that. And then show you sort of how to fight the boss, which is, it's similar. There's not a lot different. But depending on the boss, you can kind of jump around for safety, or you can just roll around him for evasion. You also see when I jump, I do have the consecrated ground. It does a tiny little bit of healing. It's not a phenomenal skill. I don't know if I'll keep it, but again, we're not really using the leap for any abilities that we would put on it. We're just using it to lay the lightning on the ground, and then we're using it to sort of get out of trouble or just quickly get through an area. Like you can jump over traps on the gauntlet stuff on the trials as well. So you're basically, again, it's an 8-second, it'll stay on the ground. So you can really prep up an area. Like for a boss, like I like to prep it up. If it's like one that talks, I'll just go right where they're standing and run in a circle. Guarded by 10 packs of monsters. Oh, here we go. But you can see, look how easy you can take packs out. Especially if they're just going to spawn in the same place, because they're going to be together, and as soon as you start piercing, they're all going to explode, they're going to hurt each other. Again, this is only a tier 1 key. The damage should be there, though, for pretty high tiers. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I'll show you after this run where my damage is on Shock Pulse with the pulsing. I believe it's over 26,000. And I'll also show you the headpiece that I'm using. It dropped. It's an interesting damage boost, so I kept it for that. And you'll see, like, look, Shock Burst, even without the electricity, is still pretty strong. Is that it? Oh yeah, there you go. That was not worthwhile. All right, so we'll keep running. Sorry if this is a little bit longer. My goal was not to make a super long video, and you guys can obviously jump around. But I just would like to get to the boss since we have that opportunity. So it looks like it's here. Oh, no, it's just a yellow. You can see, like, that yellow is erased. this is the style where if you just want to roll around and kind of circle stuff, that works really well as well. So kind of do this. I do the jump in to kind of start the fight, and then if it's a closer in fight, I'll kind of roll around, which is really helpful for like big bosses. Like the Act 3 boss is so easy. Hopefully we're almost clear. Looks like the boss is all the way up north. Some of these maps are so long, some of them are so short. I gotta be honest though, I don't hate long maps. That I heard online, you can see a lot of people complaining about map size online. I mean, what's the difference? You're either gonna do a really long map or you're gonna do a bunch of short ones. It's the same exact gameplay experience. Okay, so this boss is actually pretty easy. I say that. I know I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But look, as he's starting, we can get him all shocked up, right? Jump him. You can see that he'll start stunning. You'll see him already. Look. He's already going to be stunned. Jump him. All right, then look. Boom. Hit that. Ooh, I thought I was going to get him, and I got a little lazy. Okay, so there you go. So that's a tier 1 map mod boss fight. Really easy. I'm basically jumping around, rolling, and I'm just shock bursting. Like it's a pretty simple build, but it's fun. I think the jumping around, the dodge roll, the armor build up, like being able to get in and then out real quick, build up an area of shock, walk people through doorways where you've shocked it all up so they have to filter through. You can kind of like, it's almost like Sparta, like you can filter them into a valley and just crush them down. The couple things I did want to show real quick is this is a helmet I'm using. This is a helmet I got randomly. I don't know that I would have normally used it, but it gives me 20% skill speed and 10% movement. I love movement speed, and the skill speed is really nice for this build. You'll see until you hit a certain point that your attack speed and skill speed are actually really big damage builders. But real quick, just to show the last thing here, when we went through these, I didn't show this, is the main abilities, the shock burst rounds. You can see the base damage of it is 5,254, which is really solid. But the whole point of shock burst isn't to use it unless something's shocked. So typically you're trying to find a way to shock everything, which would have been grenades or your shotgun blasts, right? So when it pulses, this is actually doing 26,000 damage right now. And again, there's still some things that I can go for. I'm still going for some armor and some quality of life things that could be put into damage. But the big thing I tell you is when you're looking at your weapon, what I have found is that you're better to scale physical because the pulse, if you can see, where's that at? If you look at the actual ability for the pulse right here, you'll see that when you are pulsing, it takes 100% of your physical damage to lightning damage. So your modifying of the physical damage, which should be an overall higher number, is more beneficial than adding to your lightning damage. So like this is a good bow, 256 physical damage, some different things on it to make it stronger. I got this on the marketplace for I think 1 or 2 exalted, but you want, it's more, I was always trying to get like physical damage and lightning. It's actually more important, I think, at this point, because of looking at how elemental damage affects your damage when you look at the passive tree. I think that it's better to get as much physical damage as you can on your weapon, and you should see your damage then go up on the pulse. The interesting thing to notate here too is the helmet gives me quite a bit. So if you see I'm at 26, that skill speed, if I take that off, I lose 4,000 DPS. So you can see that 20% skill speed is really the reason I use that, because again, attack speed and skill speed are strong. But anyway, that's probably a little bit longer of a video than I wanted to make. I apologize for going 20 minutes here. But what I would say is if you like the build, leave a comment. I'm not going to be crazy about making a channel. I haven't made content in a while, but if you do like it, sub up, add some comments, hit me up on social media. Let me know what you think. Do you like the build? Is it a build you'd want to play? How would you change gems? Again, it's pretty early in, so any feedback's great. Have fun, guys, and happy slaying.